If there's one game that makes me break into a cold sweat over silly details, it's Roadside Research. You think you're killing it with your disguise until you do one tiny thing wrong and feel like the entire station shouted "alien" in unison. The worst part is that it's not big decisions that give you away. It's routine, it's habit, it's those little manias you don't even realize you're doing. So today, I've picked out 10 mistakes that blow your alien cover. And, more importantly, how to avoid each one without stalling your run or becoming a hostage to paranoia. Stick with me, because this list is going to save you from getting caught. I've already fallen for this silly mistake in Roadside Research, standing perfectly still right in front of the pump, thinking I'm safe while waiting for the car to pull up. The game is unforgiving. If you take one step too many into the road area during refueling, the car will come and run you over without ceremony. The worst part isn't just the hit itself. When this happens, you end up splashing goop, alien slime, which becomes an open invitation for suspicion to rise and for agents to notice you. As the game itself warns in the tips, getting run over can happen exactly while you're at the pump, waiting for a customer to stop. So, the rule I follow is simple and life-saving. Never stand in front of the pumps, not even for half a second. Always stay one step to the side, keep the front of the pump clear, and treat the curb area like a trap, because that's where the car catches you when you relax. And if goop appears, I clean it instantly, no questions asked. Grab the scrubber and the boot and scrub with the mouse until those bubbles and stars appear, because that is literally the way to remove stains and slime from the ground. The faster you erase that evidence, the lower the chance of becoming the center of attention when agents are around. Letting dirt, goop, or trash accumulate as if no one will notice is the kind of carelessness that turns into social noise quickly. Customers complain, the mood gets heavy, and you start attracting unnecessary attention. My ritual now is to treat cleaning as part of the station's loop, not an optional task at the end of the day. If goop hits the floor, I clean it immediately with the scrubber, because those stains are the type of evidence that sticks to the scene and leaves you vulnerable. And the scrubber is exactly that. You scrub with the mouse until bubbles and stars appear, so there's no excuse to leave it for later. The detail that gets people the most is that it's not just the shop floor. The bathroom, the pump area, and any corner a customer steps in can become a thermometer for suspicion. I do a quick sweep between customers, especially near the pumps, because that's where the mess appears without you noticing. When I keep everything clean, I feel like the station stays more human, and that helps my head not panic when someone stares too long. Regarding trash, I like to use the auto trash can to nudge humans into throwing things away themselves, as it reduces that random dirt that forms. However, I use it with a paranoid mindset. If you installed automation, keep an eye on the suspicion meter and the flow of people, because any convenience can become another reason for the game to test you. If I notice the situation is too easy, I go back to basics and prefer to clean it myself rather than leave an opening for unnecessary investigation. I learned this the hard way. Nothing blows your cover faster in Roadside Research than whipping out your camera right in front of a customer as if it were the most normal thing in the world. In my head, it was just a quick snap, record it, and done. But the game treats photography and recording as suspicious behavior. And customers' reactions are almost immediate when they catch you in the act. What follows is that annoying domino effect. One customer notices you, suspicion spikes, and suddenly you're dealing with a situation that didn't need to exist. It feels like you went from station employee to weird entity collecting evidence in 2 seconds, and then any little mistake becomes a reason to hunt you down. My rule of thumb is, if I need to take a photo, I do it from behind and with as much emotional distance as possible, like I'm just a passing shadow. If you can use CCTV or a 360 system to get the angle without holding the camera in front of everyone, even better, because you trade the risk of exposure for a much more discreet record. And for recording video, I go full ninja mode, nighttime, isolated corners, moments when no one is staring at your face. I bring the camera, yes, but I treat it as a mission tool, not a toy. Get in, record what's needed, vanish from the map, and go back to acting like nothing is happening. I've already made that classic greedy station owner blunder. I hiked up prices too much thinking I'd farm money fast, and within minutes the atmosphere turned against me. When the red $ icon appears and the customer looks visibly irritated, I feel like it's not just a lost sale. It's the kind of tension that starts pushing you into the suspicion zone. For me, the safest way to handle this is to start with a controlled increase, like plus 20%, and watch the reaction. If people start complaining, I don't argue with the game. I immediately drop it by about -10% and stabilize the flow, because selling well and looking normal is worth more than squeezing every cent. This is one of those management adjustments the game encourages you to monitor early, precisely because small choices change how humans perceive you. When I want to push my luck and still keep the rhythm, I use the price propaganda caster as an ace up my sleeve. It gives that boost that helps drive sales, but I treat it as a temporary tool because I already account for the plus 20% suspicion cost and play around it, not against it. In the end, I think of it like this. Prices that are too high are like noise, and noise draws attention. I'd rather be the fair and efficient station than the expensive and weird one, because the minute a customer finds you odd, the rest of your disguise starts crumbling down with it. I've been badly burned by a mistake that seems small but destroys your rhythm, letting gasoline or items run out. The moment a customer arrives and doesn't find what they want, they simply leave, you lose the sale, and you feel the station wither because your reputation starts to suffer. What I do to avoid embarrassment is work with a buffer, not the minimum. I buy excess on purpose, like one box of every fast-moving item, and I keep at least 2 pumps guaranteed, so I'm not on the edge of fuel. Even in general game tip guides, the idea of planning and not lacking resources appears as one of the pillars of the early game, because it's the kind of oversight that snowballs. Another thing that changed my game was stopping relying solely on memory. I use racks as a visual thermometer for stock. If I glance at it and see it's thin, I restock before the chaos. Because waiting for the item to run out is basically accepting that you'll lose customers at the worst possible moment. And about delivery, I only call for it when it's truly necessary, because ordering delivery all the time makes it look like you're putting out fires, and putting out fires in a disguise game is never comfortable. I prefer to restock during calmer moments, maintain that safety net, and keep serving as if nothing could catch me off guard. I've made this mistake out of pure anxiety, seeing an agent arriving and trying to send the brainwasher straight away, as if it were an erase problem button. Then you find out the hard way, that the glasses get in the way, the attempt fails, and the situation gets much louder than it needed to be. What I do now is almost a ritual. Laser first, always. The idea is to stun, take the agent out of control for a moment, and deal with the glasses detail before trying the brainwasher, because the right order makes everything more consistent and less risky. There's a mental side to this that helps a lot. Once I accept that it's 2 steps, I stop panicking and start executing calmly. I only approach when I already know I'm going to complete the sequence without testing the brainwasher in desperation and drawing more attention than necessary. Now, in the early phase, I also learned not to pick a fight every time. Sometimes the best thing is simply to ignore the agent and keep looking like a busy human, because they might leave if you don't escalate the confrontation. This is the kind of discipline that saves a run. Not every problem needs to turn into a war, especially when you're still weak and have no room for improvisation. Mixing day and night tasks was the mistake that most made me look like an alien without me realizing it. Because during the day, everything has an audience, customers, traffic, every side eye. I tried to fit risky research into the middle of the workday, and before I knew it, suspicion had escalated too fast for me to fix on the fly. During the day, I forced myself to play in model employee mode, serve, clean, and keep the stock perfect, as if my goal were to be the most normal station on the road. Game guides reinforce exactly this approach of keeping the station organized, clean, and well-stocked to avoid creating cascading problems in customer flow. When I do this, it feels like the game calms down, and I gain mental space to plan the rest. Then night comes, and I become a different person. It's my turn to scan, probe, and grab what I can while people are sleeping, because the darkness gives me a margin for error without a crowd watching. I treat the early hours like an infiltration mission, with small steps and clear objectives, because it's easy to get excited and end up making too much noise, even in the silence. In practice, my rule is simple. If it's something that looks weird to human eyes, I push it to the night. If it's something that builds a normal routine, I keep it for the day. This cycle keeps me in control of suspicion. And most importantly, it avoids that feeling of putting out fires all the time. It took me a while to realize that it's not just about buying everything alien and installing it like it's an infinite skill tree. That puts a spotlight right on you. There are even tips and tricks guides that deal specifically with these traps and how small choices put you at risk. The classic mistake is stacking upgrades that look great on paper, but push your base suspicion up before you have a way to compensate. You install, for example, the photo booth. The game shows you plus 20% and CCTV plus 10%, feeling all proud of your high-tech station. And suddenly, every little thing makes people think, this is very weird. The way I play to avoid getting screwed is to think in packages. If I'm going to add something that increases suspicion, I also set aside space and cash for counterweights, like the brainwasher barrier, -30%, or auto brainwasher, -50%. This way, I can keep the benefits without turning the station into a magnet for distrust. And when I realize I've overdone it, I don't stay stubborn. I enter build mode and remove what's extra, because the game itself lets you undo and recover money. This gives a nice feeling of fine-tuning, like, okay, I needed the CCTV today. Tomorrow, I'll take it out and go back to basics. And you keep evolving without announcing that you're an alien trying to automate the world. One of those mistakes that gives you away as an alien without you even noticing is throwing trash in the dumpster. This is the fastest way to make the dirt disappear, but it's also the fastest way to throw your progress down the drain. The dumpster just erases the trash and gives you nothing in return, so you lose the chance to turn every little piece of paper into points and human research. What I started doing is treating the yellow recycler in the alien room as if it were my secret ATM. If you find human trash, take it there and analyze it. Each piece of trash is worth 1 alien point, so that little cup left on the floor is literally an upgrade waiting to happen. And here's the detail that changed my game pace. In the yellow recycler, I only put human trash don't get fancy with other things, because what really pays off and is safe to use is common trash, cups, packaging, wrappers. When you get into this habit, you stop cleaning for the sake of cleaning and start cleaning with a purpose, which greatly reduces the feeling of just doing a boring chore. To avoid becoming a slave to picking things up off the floor, I automate as much as possible with trash cans. I scatter a few around the place so people stop throwing trash where they walk, and then I just collect the bag when it's full and take it to the recycler to analyze. It becomes a clean, constant loop, and you feel the points coming in without having to hunt for every bit of dirt like it's a treasure hunt. This is a mistake I've made more times than I'd like to admit. I would clean what was screaming on the screen and ignore what looked clean. And then out of nowhere, a customer would complain about dirt I swore didn't exist. The problem is that these hidden areas count as invisible dirt without those green clouds or flies. So you go on thinking everything is under control while suspicion rises silently. To avoid this, I created a little personal rule. Whenever I finish a batch of tasks, I do a mandatory pass at the cash register desk. I take the sponge and scrub the entire surface, the back and the corners where the camera doesn't quite catch, because that is exactly where the game loves to punish you without giving an obvious signal. And it's not just the register desk, mind you. The shop entrance and the parking lot go on my checklist too. Even when everything looks impeccable, I scrub anyway, because it's in these high flow areas that complaints appear first. And you'll find yourself asking, how? Since visually there was nothing giving it away, The best indicator in practice are the bubbles. If bubbles come up, you had something to clean, period. So I scrub until bubbles appear and then vanish, and that's it. I move on. By doing this, I stop getting startled by random complaints, and most importantly, I stop letting suspicion escalate without me noticing.